Hey everyone, hi. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Shelly if you are new here, and if you're not, welcome back. I'm so glad to have you all. So here's what's going on today. I am doing my TBR, my to be read list for Victober, for Victorian Literature October, where here on BookTube we celebrate Victorian literature to the high heavens and chat about it and really enjoy Victorian lit. But here's the deal. Our three hosts, Kate Katie from Books and Things, and Lucy the Reader, they have set up these magnificent prompts. And though I love the prompts and I really got into it, I more got into looking at the definition of children's literature. Kate actually provided a beautiful definition, which is, the period in which Queen Victoria reigned. Man, I had a moment. The period in which Queen Victoria reigned, which was 1837 to 1901, and the countries that were included was Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England. And so I got really excited about the definition, and I began looking through my 1001 children's books you must read before you grow up, and I found out that there was quite a bit of Victorian children's lit on there. And so instead of following the prompts, I've sort of gathered a bunch of things that fit as part of Victorian literature, mostly children's books, though you might be surprised at some that are definitely considered children's literature, but I don't know if we necessarily think of them as Victorian lit. I was sort of not surprised. I was delighted to discover that some of these books are part of Victorian lit. And these are the books that are on my radar. So I've heard things called pile of possibilities. I've heard the term MBR, may be read, that have gone around, and I think it's sort of this way that we can detach ourselves from this list that we have to read for the month, and really what we're doing is we're showing what we're interested in this moment that might represent the rest of our month, right? And so that's what this list is. It's like the books that I'm thinking about reading that are on my radar that I would love to get to, but I'm not sure where my nose will take me. There are a bunch of beautiful resources on Project Gutenberg. My library has a bunch of resources, audiobooks and ebooks that I can access. And so I don't know if my reading will be contained to these piles. So I'm going to go through them. The first category that I have has to do with Victorian literature that it qualifies as squarely Victorian literature. So that would be The Complete Nonsense of Edward Lear. This is a English writer, English poet. He wrote nonsensical, silly poems for children, and this was published in 1846. This is a placeholder for what I want to read, and that would be A Child's Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is only a selection of those poems, but I did find the full document on Project Gutenberg, so I want to go on there and I want to read some of those, and this was published in 1885. Then we have The Story of the Treasure Seekers by E. Nesbit, and this was published in 1899, so kind of getting to the end of our Victorian period. And I wanted to see what this is about. I think it's about a story about friendship. I'm gathering with the children on the cover, but I really don't know much about the story itself. And then finally, in the squarely children's literature category, on my 1001 children's books that you must read before you grow up list, is A Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson in this big chunky version. And I'm hoping to get to this. Again, I'm not really sure where my nose will take me, but it's in front of me and it's likely that I will pick it up. And this, I believe, was published in 1883. So really, really exciting. And then there's two more. One of them is a transition book to my next category, and then one I don't have in front of you to show, but it's actually the book I'm most interested in reading, and that is Black Beauty by Anne Sewell, I believe. and that was published in 1877. I can access this on my Kindle. There is a ebook version also on my library that I could read on my iPad. So there's plenty of ways that I could get a hold of it. I even have one in my shopping cart on Thrift Books in case I want a physical copy. But that's actually the book that I'm most interested in reading. It's a movie that I watched when I was a child. I'm really not super familiar with this story because I haven't watched the movie since I was a child, but it's one that I do hope to get to, and that I'm definitely the most excited about of all the books that I've already showed you. The next category, which I'm going to be transitioning, well, this last one, it'll help me transition, but the last book that has to do with squarely children's literature that are written in the Victorian period by, anyways, I lost my thought. Okay, so this is The Canterville Ghost by Oscar Wilde, and this is a short story that was changed into a picture book, and I believe, read this, but I really don't remember it. I might have sped read it through when I was working at the library, but this is my discarded library copy, and I'll be right back because I have a little one calling my name. I mean, is this a short story with a secret? Is this a sensation short story? Is that a thing? I don't know. All right, one sec. Okay, pardon the interruption. So, while I was thinking about Oscar Wilde, I was thinking about his plays that I have very little to no familiarity with. And while I was at the library just perusing some of the books, I came across some plays and I thought that this might be something I would really enjoy. So I picked up 2 Oscar Wilde plays. The first one is Lady Windermere's Fan. This was first performed in 1892. And then I also picked up An Ideal Husband, which was first performed in 1895. And I thought, why not, since I'm diving into nonsense poems and children's books and short stories, why not pick up some plays as well? So this is my category, which there's only 3 books in this category, but it is Victorian literature that I would like to read that is not on my 1001 children's books that you must read before you grow up. And then the final book in this category is, I was thinking about Christina Rossetti's Goblin Market that I read in college, and that stuck with me. I think it was just the cadence of the poem, the subject matter, the vivid language that I just absolutely remember so vividly when I was in college. And so I saw this on the library shelf, and this is Selected Poems by Christina Rossetti, and I thought, oh my goodness, well, why not dive a little more into her poetry while we're celebrating Victorian literature. And so I wanted to pick this up and to dip into it. I don't know if I'm going to read the whole thing, but if I do feel so inspired, I will. And it's just definitely one of the poets that I would like to perhaps get a little more familiar with, and that's what I'm doing with this book. Okay, so moving on. Actually, one second. My next category, we are going back to the 1001 children's books that you must read before you grow up, but this time it is going to be in the time period of Victorian literature, but we're not going to be in England. We're going to be elsewhere. So that would be Jules Verne, Journey to the Center of the Earth. This I'm very, very excited to read. I have never read any Jules Verne, and I would like to. This is Jules Verne is a French author, and this was published in 1864. So again, in that time period, but we're in the wrong region. So yeah, and following French authors, I really wanted to get to The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas this month. I actually maybe I'll just start it and then maybe it'll carry on to November. I'm not really sure how this will pan out, but this was written in 1844. And then leaving France and going to America, I have Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter, which was published in 1850. So again, in that Victorian time period, but again, in the wrong region. So I'm excited to get to these 3. I think of though I am excited about the Victorian literature, I might be having more bite-sized pieces of Victorian lit, and then all of my juicy stuff might be that time period but in the wrong region, and that might be these books here, because I'm actually these books have been sitting here looking at me and I really want to get to them. And then my final category is kind of random and then buddy reads. Oh, sorry, 1 second. So random would be, I saw this morning, Pablo Neruda's love poems and A Song of Despair. I've never read any of Neruda, but he's often quoted in television shows that I watch, and I was like, I need to like cut it out and get to know Naruto, so I picked up this very short, slim little volume of poetry, and most of it is an introduction, so I'd like to just gobble this up in an afternoon and really enjoy these poems. The next book has to do with a little project that I'm doing. If reading 1,000 children's books it wasn't enough, and trying to get through mammoths and books that I want to read before I die. Aside from that, I have a mini project. It should be a small one, and that is to read Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, which I did, and then to read The Hours by Michael Cunningham, because it has to do with Mrs. Dalloway. And I've known now 2 people here on YouTube, Bob the Booker and Rachel is Reading. They both read Mrs. Dalloway first, which I did, and then they read The Hours, and they said that it elevated Mrs. Dalloway. And Bob the Booker ended up going back to reading Mrs. Dalloway and then ended up getting along with it much better. And so that's what I am planning on doing. So my next step is to read The Hours, and then I'm going to go back and read Mrs. Dalloway, because I was really intrigued by the novel and I felt like it had more to offer than my first reading of it did. And so that's my plan. And so this month I want to read The Hours. And then 2 buddy reads that I'm going to be doing. The first one is The Tin Flute. I first saw this on Elizabeth's channel, Bouquets and Books, and she really enjoyed The Tin Flute and really sold me on it. And so myself and Stephanie Cohen, an avid commenter, decided to set up a buddy read, and from there we added Miss Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot, and Sonia Devaney, I think I'm saying your last name right, who is also an avid commenter on my channel and many others. And so we're all going to be reading The Tin Flute together as a book, as a buddy read, and we're going to be reading this all month. And then, if that wasn't enough, I'm going to be reading with a group, another small group. AJ Dunn Reads and Writes is in this group, and Jolene from Bookworm Adventure Girl. I'm going to link everyone's channels below so that you have access to their channels. They're all wonderful, wonderful channels. Cannot speak highly enough of all of these folks. And we decided to read Wolf Hall. And so this is going to begin in October and end in November as we read the 6 sections of Wolf Hall. And this is my first experience with Hilary Mantel, who I've only heard wonderful things about. So yeah, so that's my pile of possibilities. I might read this, 1 second. Camera, recording, all of that. So I'm actually was thinking a little bit about my TBR, and I was thinking that how much I really enjoy planning out a TBR. I've heard of it as likened to window shopping. It's like you're going through your shelves, you're going to the library, you're picking out what you want to read for that month, and then you get on camera and you say, this is what I'm thinking about reading, and it's almost like window shopping with all of you, everyone else on BookTube. And that's how I feel when I'm watching other people's videos that I watch, what they picked up, what they're thinking about reading, and there's just a satisfaction and a joy that comes from making these videos. And I noticed that for me, when I come on camera and I say that I'm going to read something, I feel very true to my word when I do that. And sometimes it feels like I'm being locked into my word, that I have to get to these books, or that I don't want to deviate too much from them. And so here with this month, what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to say, this is what I want to read, but I don't want to stick to it if that's what I'm not compelled to read. I'm really, really intrigued by Victorian literature. The excitement around it is making me want to read it. I have no doubt that I will definitely enjoy some pieces of Victorian literature and gobble them up and devour them with delight, right? But there's another part of me that's like, I have all these books, and yet I'm consuming booktube content every day. I am thinking about booktubers every single day. I'm thinking about reading constantly and basically continuously throughout the days. And if something were to strike my fancy, I want to also follow my nose and read that as well. So I guess this is what this is it really truly is a pile of possibilities, but it's not limited to these books that are here in front of me. And I, like maybe some of you all, am following my own reading with some interest, and I'm wondering where my nose will take me. Follow along my Friday reads. It's one of my favorite videos to film, and I tell you the books that I have finished up for that week, so you all can, and myself too, I'm going to follow my own reading with some interest, because I want to know, like, what am I going to get to, what will strike my fancy, and what will I end up picking up. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited for the month to come. Thank you to all of the hosts who have come up with these wonderful challenges. I would encourage anybody, video makers or not, to check out the challenges, and if you feel so inspired, to follow them. And maybe at the end of the month, if I end up reading to the challenges happenstancely, or with happenstance, then I'll come back and say, hey, I actually read a sensation novel and here it was. Or hey, I read a book with a female lead and here that was. So I'm excited for the month to come, and I hope you are as well. And I guess that's all I have to say. I've just been thinking about Victorian literature almost constantly for the last several days, and it's been a lot of fun. So that's it. That's it for me. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Let me know if you're reading any Victorian literature this month. I'd love to know, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye, guys.